What's going on, guys? Welcome to this video where I'm going to be teaching you exactly how to overcome any objection, no matter what it is, whether it's in recruitment or in your personal life. This tool is going to help you to make sure that you can get past any conflict, and not only that, but get people on your side, which I've started on the other side. So what this is all about is coming to understanding. So what is an objection? Let's talk about that first. What is an objection? An objection is when a person has a difference of opinion than you, right? Or they don't agree with what you're trying to get them to understand. Or it's simply a reason that they don't want to comply, right? So these are what objections are. So if somebody, if you're trying to sell something to somebody and they say, I don't have enough money, that's an objection. Or if they say, I need to speak to my wife, that's an objection. Or they might say, this is too far, that's an objection, right? So there is a difference between an objection and a no. An objection just means, like, it's just a reason why this is a struggle for me. It's a reason why I can't get there, right? So I'm here and I want to get here, but in the middle, I have all of these objections that are blocking my path, right? So what you want to do is you want to clear this path. But in order for you to clear the path, what do you need to do? You need to first understand what is the objection. So that's the first step here. So to overcome any objection, you need to understand what it is. So like I said to you, it could be, need to talk to the family, too far, not enough money. Could be many, many reasons, right? So you want to understand what is the objection. Is the objection. All right, so that's number one. So there could be multiple, by the way. It's not just one objection. So they'll say to you, oh, the distance is too far, right? And what you want to do is you want to say, okay, cool. So I acknowledge that what you've said. So you want to say, look, I get that it's too far. First step. So you want to, I guess, show empathy at this point. Look, I get that. They're saying, look, this role is too far for me. You say, look, I get that this role is too far for you. Then what you want to do is you want to ask, is there anything else? Right? So this isn't just one question. You want to find out, what is the objection? Right? They'll tell you one objection. And that's not always the most important one. A lot of the time, the most important objection is actually the one that they don't want to tell you about, right? So that's why you need to keep digging deeper on this. You want to ask, what is the objection? Okay, what's the reason why you don't want to go forward for this role? Or what's the reason why you don't want to take this offer? And they'll say this reason. And you say, okay, cool. Is there anything else? Is there any other reason why you don't want this role? And they'll say no. So, okay, so the only reason why you don't want to go forward for this role, or you don't want to accept this offer, or whatever it might be, is because of this. Yes. Right, that's the only thing. Are you sure there's nothing else that is stopping you or that I can help you with to make this decision a yes? Is there anything else that I can do? Then they might say, well, actually, it might soften the blow if I got X, Y, and Z, right? So that's what you want to do. You want to find out what is the objection. Then what you want to do is you want to recognize that, right? So like I said, that's the empathy part here. So you want to recognize each of the objections. So you say, look, I get it. I get that it's too far for you and that you're not going to spend enough time at home with your wife. And that's really important because she's pregnant and you want to look after her, right? You've listened to them. So you've recognized what they've said. And then you can say, look, and also to that fact, you know, you're going to have a baby soon. So the offer needs to be at least 5K more than what you're currently on. It can't be a match of salary, which is what this offer is right now. Is that right? Say yes. So then you've understood what their objections are and you've recognized it to get them on board onto your side, because you've actually listened to them. You've actually heard what they've told you, right? You've listened to them. You haven't just rushed through it. You've asked them, is there anything else? Okay, cool. Look, I understand that. You can even say things like, look, you know, my wife was pregnant last year, and I remember when, you know, I had to do commutes and I had to go X, Y, and Z, and it was very, very difficult. So I'm totally with you on that. All right, so you want to recognize them. Then what you want to do is you want to then break them down and isolate them one by one. Right, so that's number 3. You want to isolate. So you don't want to tackle all of them at the same time. You don't want to say, look, all right, look, sir. You don't want to say, look, this is already a 5K increase. You said that you wanted to, only have a 5K increase. Why are you telling me now that it's more than this? And you didn't tell me that. You don't want to go into any of that, right? You want to isolate each one of these things and break them down. Okay, so you might start off with the salary objective and say objection and say, okay, cool. Look, I understand that the salary isn't what you're looking for, right? And then that's when you go back to their other motivations. So what are the reasons that they're looking to leave their current position, right? You want to go back to that and tie up with that and say, well, look, salary wasn't the important thing for you. You told me that when we started this, that you wanted to leave because the culture of the company that you're currently at isn't great. And then they'll say, oh, yeah, that's true, but I mean, I just wanted a bit more on the salary. And then what you're starting to do is you're starting to understand how big are these objections? How big are these? Are these quite big or they're quite small? Is it something that they're just trying at the end just to try and get an extra bit of money on top? Or what are they trying to do basically, right? And that's what this does, is it isolates them and it helps you to understand how big of a problem is this for you. 4, then you want to overcome them, right? You want to overcome their objections. So, for example, I can give an example of an engineering manager position that I had where I used this I went into a training and I learned this framework from one of my directors. And I came out and I had the call booked in with this candidate who had the offer. And this call was basically to just get the yes, right? That was basically what this call was to do, is just get the yes and then get the paperwork signed and hey, I've done a deal. Right, but actually in reality, that's not what happened. I came out and I had to implement this process here. And again, what happened was the salary wasn't, as much as he wanted at the end, in terms of it was what he asked for at the start, but it's not what he wanted at the end. So he started off saying, I want this much. We got in that much, but then he said I wanted more. And then the reason he wanted more was for X, Y, and Z reasons. It was a location was further than where he's currently going. So, at the end of the day, when he worked out his costs versus his savings, he realized that, his take home wouldn't be that much more, etc. And what it actually came down to was the fact that he had been with his company for about 15 years without getting any form of real promotion. He'd gone from like a junior to middle to senior, and over 15 years, he hadn't progressed into a management position. There was no scope for management. There were people who had come in above him into this company, into those management roles. And so we had to focus on that being the main thing there. So we overcame it by reminding him that actually what you're telling me now is an objection. It's not what is important to you. I think you're getting confused, right? So that's why the last video I did, where it's the structure of the candidate call, and you're trying to understand the motivations for leaving that current position. That's where it all ties in here now, is because then you can then ask the people like, well, look, you said this. How important is that now? Right? And that's what this does. That's how you overcome these objections, is by tying it to their own motivations. So you want to find out what is the objection. You want to recognize what the objection is. You want to isolate those objections. You want to overcome those objections. And then right at the end, you want to close. Sorry about these pens, by the way. I'm going to make sure that the next videos we get some fresh pens. But then what you want to do is you want to close. So once you've overcome those objections and you've actually understood that, okay, cool, these objections are not really objections. They're just things that you're trying to do to get more, or, whatever the reasons are that this person has for telling you these objections. Once you've overcome them, then what you want to do is you want to go through all of them again and then close, right? So you want to go back to the top and remind them, so this was your objection, right? So you told me here, right? So what you want to do is you want to do this a few times. Then you want to recognize each one of those, right? Then you want to isolate one and do each one of those individually. You want to overcome those individually. And then you want to close each of them individually, right? So you get these all kind of together, but then these you do individually, and you go through each of those steps with them individually. So then when you're closing, and then you do have a close at the end, but when you're closing on each one of these. So you say to them, like, okay, cool. So you told me at the start of this call that you weren't going to take it because the location. But as we've discussed, actually, the location's not that bad, and you can work home from 2 days a week, etc. Right? So what you might want to do in between this is potentially speak to your clients as well and let them know that, look, they had these objections, and see if there's any flexibility with that as well, and then you can help to close that as well. But you want to make sure that you say to them, look, you can do this a few days a week, you can do that. You mentioned about your wife, but actually, once she's given birth, then things are going to get easier for you. So it's only the next 6 months where things might be a bit difficult. So you want to just talk them through each one of these steps individually, each one of the objections individually, and then remind them on how you've overcome those with them. So you want to remind them that, okay, look, we've got you 2 days working from home. You want to say, here, look, the salary is, actually, we can give you a couple extra thousand on the salary. And if you have been following on my coaching program, then we've got the whole process laid out for you, including how to get this flexibility before these conversations even happen from the client, and how to actually make sure that if the candidate does come back to you and say, I want more money, you've already got that flexibility from your client before this call even happens. So before this, you're on the phone to your client trying to make sure that when you get the offer, you've got a bit more room for maneuver than what you actually give. So when you give it to them, you can even say, and actually I'm going to do a video on this, right? So the next video I'm going to do is closing candidates because I love it, right? But what you want to do is you want to find out the objections, you want to recognize each of those objections, you want to isolate each of those objections, overcome each of those objections individually, and you want to close on those individually and say, look, so are you satisfied now? So is this is this still an objection for you? Is this still something that you're worried about, or have we gone past that now, right? Are you still worried about this? Is this something that's going to come up in future again, or are you cool, right? That's what you want to find out. Are you okay? You want to do that with each one of these objections, and then right at the end, you want to close it off by saying, so look, we've gone through this, we've had the call, this was the offer, this is what we're doing, etc., and you're happy to now take that offer at this rate. Bearing in mind everything that you told me before, those are not important, and you're definitely going to start. You're handing in your notice, and you're definitely going to start. So this is the type of language that you want to start using with your candidates as well, especially if you get to interview and closing stage, the offer stage, because you want to start pushing them to give you yes or no answers, right? You want to ask these really closed questions to them to make sure that there's no room for maneuver. So if you come up against a candidate again who gives you any form of objection, now this is a process for you to understand how to overcome any of those objections and move forward with those candidates. And usually it's the best candidates that have the most objections. So that's why this is so important for doing placements with the best people, to get the best salaries for them at the best companies where there's repeat business at the best rates, so that you can start making some real money in your recruitment business. And if you've enjoyed this video, once again, make sure you hit the like button, you subscribe to the channel, because I'm uploading a video every 2 days on this YouTube channel. And the word of the day that I want you to comment below is pen. So if you made it to this far in the video, I want you to write the word pen. Comment below saying pen, so that I know that you've seen this video all the way to the end. And I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've benefited from it. If you would like to join the Tribe of Recruiters Facebook group, it's a free Facebook group. It's a community of recruiters, like-minded individuals like yourself. So if you want to join that community, then there'll be a link below. And of course, if you want to learn with me, you want my help to get you to the next level in your recruitment business, then book a call with me using the link below, and we can talk about the mentorship program and if you're going to be a good fit for it and how it's going to benefit you. So make sure to make a call, book a call with me, and I'll see you on the next video.